To a spotlight on safety.
You don't really stop with safety. You're trying to always be on the front end of it.
Workplace accidents are a concern across Montana, but one Billings company is bucking the trend. Also, coffee, all the craze.
It is something that we're going to keep pursuing. We want to get this collected as soon as possible for the school district, for the city, for the county.
Rimrock Mall has been struggling financially, but now an iconic national brand looks to brew up success. And championship dreams, a wild day in Bozeman as dozens of volleyball teams kick off the state tournament. We'll have the highlights next on the MTN 10 o'clock news.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Well, good evening and thanks for joining us on this Wednesday night. I'm Russ Riesinger. Tonight, the longest government shutdown in U.S. history is over. The House approving a funding package this evening to reopen the government and sending it on to President Trump to sign. The bill passed 222 to 209, mostly along party lines, funding the government through the end of January for most agencies. But it includes a 3-year funding bill for other parts of the government. The legislation extends funding for SNAP benefits for a full year and reverses shutdown-related layoffs of federal workers. However, it does not include the extension to the Affordable Care Act tax credits, something Democrats contend is critical to keep premiums from spiking for many Americans. Meanwhile, House Democrats released emails today calling into question whether or not President Donald Trump knew about Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. Those emails include a 2011 message from Epstein to convicted co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell. It said, quote, "I want you to realize that that dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Victim spent hours at my house with him." In another email in 2019, Epstein told a journalist, of course he knew about the girls. With the new Democratic member being sworn in, a group of House lawmakers believes it will soon have the bipartisan votes to force the Justice Department to release all the files related to the Epstein case. That vote could come to the House floor early next month. Many Montana farmers are still feeling the fallout from the shutdown. The USDA reopened more than 2,000 service offices in late October to help distribute $3 billion in aid. But Montana Farmers Union says payments are slow. Some producers are still waiting on checks that require federal signatures to cash. And even as funds trickle out, loan delays continue to put pressure on farms across the country.
They're scared. You know, they have to face their bankers this fall, this winter, to get their loans renewed. And prices are low and lower than they anticipated. And a lot of crop hasn't been sold.
Schweitzer says on a national scale, farmers experience more bankruptcies in agriculture in the first half of 2025 than in all of 2024. Montana is one of the tops in the nation when it comes to workplace accidents. Recently, Montana State Fund gave back more than $4 million that Yellowstone County companies had paid toward workplace accident insurance. One of those recipients rewarded with more than $100,000 was Weave Industries, recognized for keeping costs down and preventing those accidents. Tonight, Hannah Pettiferi visited the business, learning what makes them successful, while others still have a long ways to go.
Roger Buskirk is doing his daily walk around his truck, something he's been doing for 40 years to ensure his drive runs smoothly.
The biggest thing is to make sure that everything's functional.
And if something isn't functioning correctly,
we just wait for the shop to show up and have them fix it before we leave out.
That's where mechanic Ryan Joy comes in the picture, making sure the fleet of AD drivers travel safely.
Every day, all day long, 10 hours a day.
It's a job that can expose them to dangers.
Most of the dangers that we face, safety is kind of a culture that we have to pay attention to because the big equipment, heavy parts, team lift, things like that.
Which is why Safety Director Sam Buchanan is always setting that bar high.
Focus there is to try to make sure that everybody understands the expectations that we have, at least from a safety perspective. You know, we're almost in a continual improvement environment. You don't really stop with safety.
Here at Weave, safety is our top priority, and they do it right. However, the Montana State Fund says that Montana remains the most unsafe in workplace safety, but the question is, why?
We think a lot of it might have to do with our kind of rugged independence and can do it mentality, right? I'm just going to get this thing done and then I'm going to get back to work and push through if I get hurt. And that could be it.
Holly Odell, president of the Montana State Fund, says the effort is to commit to providing a safe work environment.
Incredible commitment to safety, investment in those employees, innovation on the safety front to prevent injuries and find out what happened.
Ryan says their dividend of over $100,000 reflects those efforts of safety.
We're actually pretty proud of that check that we received, but really the idea is to hopefully take some of that, put it back into resources for the company, whether it's training or equipment.
Weave is just knocking it out of the park.
In Billings, Hannah Pettiferry, MTN News.
A Billings woman accused of killing a man on the Crow Indian Reservation pled not guilty today. 26-year-old Damika Rose American Horse is charged with second-degree murder for a crime that took place in late November of last year. She's accused of killing a man near Pryor. She faces life in prison. No other details have been released.
We were nothing less than overwhelmed with pictures, beautiful pictures of the Northern Lights last night. And tonight there's still some that's out there. I wanted to share a few of the pictures along the way. How about this one from Jean around the Red Lodge area? And you can pick out the Big Dipper in there along the way as well. Amber shared this one with the Yellowstone River and still some very brilliant colors for us. David, thanks for reminding us the Torrance meteor shower is also visible tonight, overnight, heading in through just before sunrise tomorrow, and the Leonid meteor shower later this week. Kathy, beautiful shot from around the Miles City area. And Sharon, finally, how about those colors? Still very brilliant around Pompey's Pillar tonight. Forecast details are just a few minutes away.
The Billings area is seeing a cascade of homeless pets, and many in the community don't know where to turn since the Yellowstone Valley Animal Shelter moved out of its old location back in September. Well, Help for Homeless Pets says it's been overwhelmed. Boxes of animals being left at their door. Every kennel is full. The shelter took their concerns to Yellowstone County commissioners, citing a surge in animals and a spike in rent. Commissioners have now approved a $12,000 stopgap to keep the operation afloat, at least for now.
When they first came and talked to us, their rent basically went up $1,000 a month starting at the beginning of the year. So this will at least keep them even going forward. We're hoping that they have a great long-term goal and long-term plan to make sure that they're stable going forward.
Help for Homeless Pets says they're interested in moving into the recently vacated YVAS building. City Administrator Chris Kukalski says he's open to the idea, but wants to make sure that space is cleared for use first. Tonight, a popular new coffee chain appears on its way to Billings. Dutch Brothers could soon pop up along Rimrock Mall, complete with an outdoor patio and dual-lane drive-through. But their big move comes at a time when the mall itself continues to drown in financial troubles, owing more than $500,000 to Yellowstone County. Our Vanessa Willardson has more.
The Rimrock Mall has still not paid over $500,000 in back taxes.
We reached out, and we did eventually get a response. It wasn't right away, but they are aware of it.
Yellowstone County Treasurer Hank Peters has been in communication with Cohen Retail Investment Group, which owns Rimrock Mall.
They thanked us for the information and said that they would reach out again when they were ready to pay it. So since then, we have not heard from them.
While the mall owes just shy of $600,000 right now, according to Peters here at the Yellowstone County Courthouse, that number could rise to over $1 million by the end of the year.
Their 2025 taxes have been billed. The first half isn't due till November 30th. But if those go delinquent, they would be over $1 million.
And what's raising eyebrows, the group who owns Rimrock Mall owns several malls across the country, and they're behind on taxes for 17 of those other properties, owing a little over $8.7 million in property taxes nationwide.
It can place a huge burden, especially if it's on a taxing jurisdiction that is smaller.
Even though the taxes have not been paid, business is still coming to the mall. According to the City of Billings Planning Department, developers have talked about bringing a Dutch Bros coffee stand to go in front of the mall.
Down the line, it could affect the business if somebody gets the tax lien and it isn't paid off in time and ownership of the mall changes as a result.
And Dunham Sports has had no problem with it as well. They just opened at the mall in September. In Billings, Vanessa Willardson, MTN News.